Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In the last video, we learned what the slope was, the definition of it, and then slope is one of really important factors when it comes to linear functions because when you write an equation, let's say like y equals 3x plus 1, so this is an equation of a linear function. And if we see the number right next to x, in this case 3, and we just know right away that 3 is the slope of this equation of this graph. And also we already know like what steepness is if we see a line here, and this is pretty steep, and then a little bit gentle this one. So like this one has a little bit of higher slope compared to the other one. And then I also want you to remember the formula rise over run. So the formula of slope, like if you don't know the slope, then we can find one by using this formula. We just calculate this rise over run. This is what we did last time. And I really want you to remember like these two things. What the slope is like slope is basically the steepness, how steep the line is. And then another thing is in an equation, this slope is right next to this x. Yeah, and then this is a really important factor. Another one is y-intercept. Y-intercept is also important because there is one more number here. It's called constant term, not a linear term, because it doesn't really have, any variable right next to it, and then it's just a number without x or without y, without x or y. So this is a constant term, and usually if you see a linear function, then those two numbers are really important. And the first one represents slope, and the second one represents this y-intercept, the concept of y-intercept. It says n equals y-intercept. And if we see an equation here, y equals mx plus n, so that basically means n is the y-intercept. And let's have a look at definition. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis at this point, x equals 0. What does that mean? Let's just put 0 into x. But why though? Because the y-intercept technically refers to the point 0, in this case 1. But this is the y-intercept. And if you don't know the y-intercept and you want to find the y-intercept, then what you want to do is put 0 into x. So let's have a look at this specific example. The equation is y equals 2x plus 4. And if you see this form, like if you see like this form, like y equals blah x plus something, then we've just learned that this is the slope and this is the y-intercept. And in this case, y equals 2x plus 4. So that basically means 2 is the slope and 4 is the y-intercept. We know about the slope, so let's just have a look at here. If we just pick any 2 points, and then calculate the rise over run. Rise in this case 4, run 2, so 4 over 2, 4 divided by 2, so you get 2. Yeah, this is the slope. And we can check it just by having a look at here too. Then what about 4? 4, this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis. And then if you have a look at this graph, like when you want to know the y-intercept, that basically means you want to find the point where this graph meets the y-axis. That was the definition. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Here, this line crosses this y-axis. I'm gonna use some colors. This already has a color. This is a red and this is y-intercept. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So the coordinates of this point is 0, 4. Yep. Every single point on this y-axis has 0 x coordinate. If you see here, then it's 0, 5, 0, 6, 0, 7. If you go down, then 0, -1, 0, -2, 0, -3, 0, -4. So that's why if you put 0 into x, then you get the y-intercept. It's not just this linear graph, like just all the graphs, they are all the same. If you put 0 into x, that basically means you get the y value, and that's the y-intercept. So let's have a go with this specific graph. We already know, like we can just read this one, but like as the definition of y-intercept, sometimes you are gonna come across like a really hard graph like things like maybe in the future you are gonna learn 2x squared like 4x plus 7. Then it might be a bit hard to find the y-intercept. Even in this case, you can just put 0 into x, so x equals 0. So that basically means x squared is also equal to 0, obviously. And then they will just disappear because 3 times 0 and 4 times 0 and only 7. Then for this specific graph, this has 0, 7. This is the y-intercept is 7. And then this graph crosses the y-axis at 0, 7. Yeah, so in this case, if you put 0 into x, then this x disappears, obviously, and then you get only 4. That's why this number, like next to x, like separate from x, then it's basically, the y-intercept. So like in this case, like 0, 4. So it's here, that's the y-intercept. Yep, let's go back to here. Yeah, so at this point, x equals 0. Yeah, that's what that means. So we just substituting x equals 0 into the equation. So like put 0 into x. So like briefly they calculate kind of this graph, like when they substituting x equals 0 into the equation. Yeah, there's one example.